I realize now we weren't just delivering packages. We were delivering hope.
What the fuck? And so it begins. As we remain in lockdown in different parts of the world, stuck inside with only our screens to entertain us, the Hollywood machine just keeps on a-turning. We've had good pandemic movies in the past with Outbreak, Contagion, and even 28 Days Later. Even though with that one it was less, we need to save humanity, and more, I thought that, as obvious as it was that we were going to see a pandemic movie boom, it would be interesting to see what filmmakers came up with so many restrictions around what they could do. And I think there have been good results with bare bones horror films like Host.
This is not good. I told you not to disrespect the spirits. It could be something demonic. Really? This is all you want? Not my fault, this is your fault!
And the excellent BBC comedy Staged.
Georgia sent me a script.
Really?
Yeah, she wanted to get another opinion on it before she spoke to you, but she thinks it's incredible.
And what do you think? Oh, fuck.
I mean, they even made a Ratatouille musical on TikTok, which became an actual musical. But what this film, this annoying abomination of a film, makes me painfully aware of, is that some filmmakers and writers are so incredibly tactless and emotionally bankrupt that they have no idea how to effectively read the room. Lockdowns have led to people re-evaluating their lives, priorities, relationships, and everything they know about the world around them. For example, I've decided to become a faceless YouTuber and yell into the void about things I like on the internet. And there's some really interesting stuff to be drawn out from how it's affected society as a whole. And then there's Songbird, an insanely stupid science fiction movie farted out in the minimum possible amount of time by the Michael Bay schlockhouse to cash in on people's misery. Here's a short summary of this mess. By 2024, COVID-19 has mutated into COVID-23, and anyone who is seen to be infected is ripped from their homes and forced into quarantine zones because this is never explained. This is never explained. Nico James, a former paralegal turned motorcycle courier who's immune to the disease, is in a virtual relationship with his girlfriend Sarah Garcia, who lives with her grandmother Lita, stuck inside their apartment because of the lockdown. They dream of getting out together by getting black market immunity passes which will let them move through the checkpoints and get to Big Sur, which apparently hasn't had a case in 6 months. Now, not being American, I had to look this up, but apparently Big Sur is in the same state as Los Angeles, as in, it's around a 5-hour drive. So a few hundred miles down the coastline, everyone's basically fine, but the federal government is allowing an essential dystopian city to exist entirely by itself.
Oh, that's stupid! Really stupid.
In another plot thread, Bill Griffin, his wife Piper, and daughter Emma live in isolation in their house, running the black market operation to keep the roof over their heads. Also, there is their maid Marie, who I guess doesn't see her family at all, or goes back and forth from their house, spreading the virus in as many places as possible. Emmett Harland, played by Peter Stormare, who is absolutely the only saving grace in this movie, is the head of the Department of Sanitation.
What you doing?
And also a serial killer, but we'll have more on that later. And in another plot thread, Michael Dozer, a wheelchair user and war veteran, is building a relationship with generic streamer May, no last name, who is really not that good at singing and should find another job. This film has about 3 storylines and runs at 85 minutes. What can possibly go wrong? Let me tell you now, you definitely should not see this film as it's an insipid waste of your time that could be better spent doing anything else. Go for a walk. Jump up and down on the spot for an hour and a half. Lie down on your bed and contemplate the meaningless nature of your existence in the grand scheme of the universe. But regardless of all that, this will be a spoiler-filled review. Let's get this cliched and underdeveloped storyline out of the way. Lita gets sick and the Department of Sanitation come to cut her off. Knowing this is going to happen, Nico rushes to the Griffins to get immunity passes for Lita and Sarah. Although how an immunity pass for Lita makes any sense when she can barely stay awake and is coughing her lungs out, I'll never know. The Griffins, being the rich assholes that they are, immediately sell out Nico to Harland, who tries to kill him, but Nico manages to fight off the mighty power of a middle-aged guy with a penknife and escape. He's chased by soldiers, but then miraculously saved by this guy, who disappears forever after the scene. He then breaks back into the Griffin's house, where Piper completely U-turns on this criminal who's exposed their immunodeficient daughter to the deadliest virus known to man, and makes him a pass. Following the goon squad taking Sarah to the border of a Q zone, he somehow throws the pass on her, and then they just let them both go, I guess. And that's it. Cue inspirational music, drone shots of the California coastline, roll credits. I mean, there's some other stuff with Will and May having an affair because he promised her a music career, but it's about 15% of the movie, and Dozer just murders a guy he doesn't know for a girl he's never seen in person, so who gives a shit?
Tango is down.
By far the biggest problem with this film is that the practicalities of the science make no fucking sense whatsoever. If you're going to write a film that's inspired by something that's still happening, you at least have to try and make it a little realistic. Songbird apparently takes place 3 years from now, and it already seems like we've seen the complete collapse of basic functions of society. But you've still got time to go and get your new LG wing. But all this destruction seems completely localized to Los Angeles. Like, aside from Big Sur, no other place on the planet is even mentioned in this film. The closest we get to any sort of world building is cliched, lazy, rushed news reports at the start of the film, along with voiceovers from bloody YouTubers. And if you missed a single frame where it gave you a key piece of information, well, fuck you, I guess. The Department of Sanitation, which has definitely somehow been created and built during this pandemic for some reason, runs the city essentially unchecked. And I say created because this is definitely not the LA Department of Sanitation, whose website looks like it was built in 2005. This is the Department of Sanitation who have the power to throw people into concentration camps and shoot you on sight if you leave your house. I'm serious.
If you attempt to leave your home, you will be shot on sight.
Little things like the CDC, police and fire departments, and federal agencies seem to have disappeared entirely from this world. Instead, to help the good citizens of the city, the people who are meant to be keeping it clean can just straight up murder you. The concept of quarantine zones is completely absurd and their function is never really explained. Just please explain this to me. Why would you actively go out to people who are infected with the deadly virus that now kills people within 48 hours?
They're saying people who are catching this are dropping dead within 48 hours.
Or actually 24 hours, who cares about continuity? Put them all into a restricted space where they're guaranteed to die, and their bodies will fester and rot, which should lead to even deadlier diseases. And what happens if they live? You're just gonna send them on their way now that they've seen the horrors of a military state? Oh, sorry about pulling you away from your home and your family and leaving you to die. We're good, right? Again, remember that this is supposed to be 3 years from now. COVID-23 is now apparently airborne, so everyone's forced to stay inside. But there's no mention of a vaccine, or even any work taking place on a vaccine whatsoever. One of the most deadly illnesses to hit the human race in all of its existence, but instead of spending resources to help develop a cure, they've staffed the Department of Sanitation to throw people into a death pit. And at the same time, anyone who is immune to the disease is now called a munie, and somehow hated by the rest of the population. These writers really tried to come up with a slur for people who don't get sick.
Keep it moving, you munie scum!
This isn't the fucking X-Men. People who don't get a disease aren't going to be considered. Sorry, one more time? One of the best parts is how they determine whether someone is ill or not. There's been a smartphone app created for the express purpose of detecting whether you have the virus, because apps are 100% reliable, and sending a signal to the Gestapo to come and take you away at night. It can use your camera to measure your temperature and also somehow detect brain anomalies? Oh, sorry, I might have missed that part. COVID now attacks the brain.
New data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Because mutations! Apparently, even if you test negative for the virus and you've been living with someone for a while, you're still taken and thrown into a Q zone, where you're either one of the or you'll get the disease and die because you're surrounded by people with it. The precious immunity passes are just yellow bracelets that look like they could be very easily faked. They do need to be scanned to confirm they're correct, but twice in the movie, armed soldiers just see something yellow on Nico's hand and wave him through like it's nothing. Why in the hell aren't more people just faking that shit? Sure, you could say it's a risk, but no more than the risk of walking outside at the wrong time and getting shot at on sight.
What the heck?
All of the characters are shallower than my sense of self-worth and can be summarized by one trait. Nico is the guy that loves Sarah. Sarah is the girl that loves Nico. Lester is the chill boss. Harland is just crazy. Will is the rich pervert. Piper is a mum with a daughter. Emma is the sick daughter. May is a bad singer. Mike is the vet with the drone. And this guy is the sidekick who shows up, has 3 lines, and dies within the next 2 minutes. You don't need to know anything else about them because all of the stupid decisions they make are based on these singular characteristics. There's barely any exploration of the effect the lockdown or the new world has had on them as individuals. And when there is, because of the film's runtime, they have to move on before they can become even remotely insightful. They only exist as caricatures to be shirtless, be funny, be horny, or conveniently move the plot along at random intervals. Get out! Or have a gory death and traumatize a struggling singer-songwriter for the rest of her life. Get out! But, among all of the performances, one stands out as actually kind of understanding how dumb everything that's happening is. And that's Peter Stormare's. When Peter Stormare dials up the crazy, it's always a beautiful thing to watch. The first time we see his character, he's living in a shitty RV, smoking a cigarette in a Hawaiian shirt like he's on holiday. And then the second time we see him, he's using a penknife to murder someone who we just saw on the street. Get away from me! Apparently, he's the leader of the Department of Sanitation because everyone died one by one and he just got continuously promoted. You'd think that the head of a major governmental operation would have more important things to do than go after every single individual who needs to be taken in the city. But no, I guess it really is true. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. The film doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look all that good either. Aside from having that weird Michael Bay oversaturated tint running throughout, the camera work is weirdly haphazard, with lots of gritty, shaky cam which doesn't get tiresome or nauseating at all. But the editing especially can be so bad. The one action scene in the movie is a dark, chaotic mess that feels like they were in a situation of, well, if we have soldiers in the movie, might as well have them shoot at something. It's got that super choppy editing that means you barely have any idea what's going on. The only technical positive is probably the soundtrack by Lorne Balfe. It's definitely not his best work, but there are some strong percussive tracks that heighten the tension during the exciting scenes.
Got a car, man. You wanna play?
Although going from His Dark Materials and Mission Impossible to this mess is a disappointing step down. Alright, even outside of the general logic of the world, there were some things I had issues with in the plot that we're just going to cover now. Why is one random courier service seemingly the only one used in the city? What happened to every other courier company? Why can't the immune people go near friends and family?
They can't go near friends or family because they might get them sick.
They should literally be the one type of people that can see their family because they're immune to the fucking virus. Why is May risking seeing this guy who she clearly hates when it can get her infected or Q-zoned so easily? I don't care if he promised to make you big and famous in the before times. She literally doesn't even like him, and it doesn't look like anyone's really going to do their former jobs anymore, so why is she seeing him? Why do they care if Nico knew about the bracelets? He just wanted to buy one, who gives a shit, it's literally what you do. You gave him money at the start of the film, but sell him out the second he wants a bracelet because the poors don't get to live? Why is Harland in touch with the Griffins anyway? Is he also part of the black market? If so, then why did he need to kill Nico once he found out about it? Again, who cares? It's your business. What does he even want? Aside from... No, but seriously though, who the hell is this and why did they need to be here? Why did sanitation find out that Lita was infected and then wait until the end of the day to break into the apartment? If it's so urgent that you murder people for leaving their homes, I presume you want to get this done ASAP? How in the hell did these people not remember she didn't have a bracelet on before getting in the van? You were on the bridge when you took her away, why would you possibly miss that? Songbird sucks. The pandemic is a major event in modern history, and trying to make a movie speculating on its future that's so close to now just doesn't work. There's simultaneously too many and too few characters, a piss poor plot, terrible writing, bad acting, except you baby, I love you, and such an unbelievable reflection of our world that you can't take anything seriously. The sad thing is, there is a slim chance there might have been a more nuanced film behind all of this. An interview with the writers shows one person whose grubby mitts may have destroyed any chance at success the film might have had. Who might that have been, you ask? Thank God this is the first lockdown movie that we've ended up with, because I'm not sure it can get much worse than this.
It's the end of the world, bro.
Thanks for watching my video. Feel free to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you next time.